question, okay, to answer your question, can you still hear me? Because I got a feedback of some. Can you still hear me? Let me know if you can still hear me. Okay, all right,
Yeah.
thank you. So, the gig economy, like any other industry, there's been an influx of freelancers. We can even go from as far back as 2013. There's been an influx, and then if we want to bring that to what characterizes the gig economy basically is short-term and flexible jobs. So this means that more often than not, people are going to have to get it's more like you get one job from a client and then you're on to the next one, and then the circle goes again and again and again and again. But every once in a while, you get lucky and you have one or two clients that keep you on a retainer. In my case, I've had a situation where I had like six YouTube channels I was voicing for back to back. If you have that as a freelancer, you'd be you'd be fairly comfortable. But I don't do those anymore because it's not for growth. It wasn't sustainable. Now, in the voiceover industry, the COVID 19 saw an influx of talents like never before. COVID 19 made so many people realize, so many people were unaware that there was an industry called the voiceover industry. And so when people started to see that, oh, we could work from home and get paid, and then they were even more surprised to discover that, oh, I could talk with my voice and I'd get paid for that. Well, one of the things this has done to us is that we now have too many people coming in. I tend to put them in three categories. You have those who just somebody just told them, "Oh, you have a great voice," or they just say, "Oh, I speak English too well, so I'm qualified. I should be doing voiceovers." And then you have those who have been unfortunate. They've fallen for the snake oil. I like to call them the snake oil charlatans. Uh, they've gotten, you know, what they would call training, and then they're still confused. So they're playing small. Um, Now, these two people, these two groups, they're struggling to figure out what this whole thing is about, how to position for the global economy. And then you have those who actually have experience or have been properly trained in the industry. And so having to position for the global market is a big challenge for this first two categories that I have pointed out. It's a real big challenge. So I believe that in the course of this, would have some people gain clarity, would have some people maybe discover next steps to take their business forward, their voiceover business forward. I don't know if I did justice to your question.
Yeah,
Let me
sure.
just check.
You did justice to the question. I got what you said about most of the concerns that we have, especially with upcoming voiceover actors in Africa. One of the things that you said, which resonated with me a lot, has to do with the preparatory aspect of it, discovering what value you can add in the industry as a voiceover actor. But I have a slight concern, and I'm going to be bringing that concern to you as I
Okay,
call you back again in no distant time. But
okay,
before I bring you back on the call again, I want to also throw that question to um, Samuel. Samuel, are you on the call? So I'd like to throw that question to you. What does it mean for you when someone mentions the global economy? What does that really mean? Because I know we have a lot of young voiceover actors here who are probably positioning themselves for global opportunities. So when that is mentioned, how would you describe it on the basis of what you do and your experience on a general note? You'd like to let us know, Samuel.
Okay, yeah. Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Rizu Samo, for this opportunity to do this. I believe I'm audible enough. Yeah, how would you describe the global gig economy with respect to what I do? I'm a digital sales expert and I'm also a business coach. So like we all know, the COVID was a big revelation to us, and it made a lot of freelance platforms to just shoot up, and people had to use it, had to leverage on it to generate wealth for themselves. So for as it relates to business, to sales, one thing a lot of people have done is the issue of having, every organization has their sales experts, they have their marketing team and all of that. And so these guys are always on a regular. All right. So you need sales, you need to do a bit of a lot of marketing to make sales. And so you always have a team that would help you in your marketing and your sales so that you can generate income for your make profit for your company. So, but one thing is a lot of sales, a lot of marketing experts, I think they got so comfortable, right? So, what with the introduction of the emergence of the gig economy, you find out that more people became freelancers. Like me, for instance, I moved into freelancing as a digital sales expert. So people no longer, organizations, companies, no longer, now they could still have a team, but they no longer want to pay a lot of people. They no longer want to have to pay these sales experts on a monthly basis, because sometimes you could just marketing might not happen all the time. Okay, if it happened this week, then for like 3 weeks they use the feature, they use the concept for what they have done. Let's say the week they use it to span like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Then there's a new concept. So, but for that 4 or 5 weeks that there's nothing happening, these guys are earning. So what the global gig economy has done is, instead of hiring a sales expert full time, you could just hire them at a bit. Okay, you have various freelancing platforms. Thank God for freelancers who's also giving opportunities for that. So what they do is they make it easy for companies to not have, they won't have to spend a lot of money to hire full-time staff. So instead of paying somebody like 300,000 to maintain just always at the end of each month, you could just pay an expert just for that particular project. And then that project can be used over time, a month, 2 months, 3 months, before you think about, okay, something new that comes up. So you find that the gig economy has been a revelation for organizations and businesses. And for me, like I usually get a lot of calls, okay, we want you to do this, we want you to come help us. There's a new product in town, so we want to help you, want you to help us devise strategies to make sales. So they no longer want to go with the known, let's say, their marketing team. They want an expert to come do this. So because they know that this expert will bring a lot of ideas, creativity, and it just makes it more challenging. All right. So that's just how it's been for.
So back to what I tell you. If you look at it, Tommy, is Tommy married today?
All right. Thank you very much, Samuel. I like what you said about the revolution for organizations like
they are not married. They are not married right now. They are not doing anything. Not even today. More than 15 years now.
Right. So just a second.
For now, yes, I started some few months back. Right? I think she came to Lagos and she won't be back.
Great. So thank you very much, Samuel, for just spotlighting those great ideas you mentioned. You said a lot of intelligent points there, a lot of it. So, but this is it, Samuel. Hiring talents in bits on those freelancing platforms. You know, the COVID-19 initiated a lot of ease, initiated a lot of access. And so it's what you said concerning how most of these talents can be hired in bits. I completely agree with you. On a professional note, the revolution of the idea and the concept of having to hire people for a long time has been brought down to the level where anybody can relate to it. a talent in Nigeria, a talent in Kenya, a talent in Kigali can be hired on part-timely basis. And on the basis of that, it has become so efficient for us to say that the global gig is accessible by anybody. Voiceover actor, product seller, public speaker, whatever you have that you can offer can actually relate to that to the global community from wherever you are at the moment. Thank you very much, Samuel, for that intelligent share. I'll just move on to Emmanuel. Then I will go to the only lady joining us from Kigali. All right, so Emmanuel, over to you. I'd like to know what you think about the global economy, and on the basis of your experience, how would you describe that from your expertise and the rest of all that? Thank you, over to you, and thank you for joining on the call.
All right, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can, bro.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, first of all, for the opportunity. Hello, everyone. Big shout out to all the facilitators. And personally, I want to say a big shout out to Jennifer Canary. Thank you for coming out. I saw you there. Thank you so much. Okay, thanks again for the opportunity. My name is King E. Afemihe, Emmanuel Macaulay Afemihe, and I am a voiceover actor and a voiceover entrepreneur based here in Lagos, Nigeria. Now, for me, when I hear the global economy, the gig economy, you know, whatever big name, English name that is attached to it. For me, really, I, to a very large extent, like to break things down, okay? Because I started from the roots. Even though I'm here right now, I can speak all the English. I just like to break it down so that the average person or the average African can totally understand what we're talking about. You know, for me, I just see it as you know, flexible working conditions and limitless opportunities in the global space. Now, in the global space, you know, it's not limited to a particular career. Now, for us, we do voiceovers, and because of that, we'll look at it from the voiceover aspect of things. All right, so see the gig economy or the global economy as a situation where you have the opportunity to, first of all, get jobs flexibly. You also have the great opportunity, limitless opportunity to collaborate and also work from wherever you are. Okay. And for me, to a very large extent, I think that to function in this economy, you have to, first of all, change the entirety of the mindset you have coming or growing up, because things have drastically changed. Now, people like me who have been in the industry for quite some time and have been, you know, playing the games both home and abroad, one thing that we started with was, you know, working within our circle of influence, or the jobs you can get, or the things that you can grapple from where you are. But the thing is, right now, the opportunities are endless, okay? The working conditions are enormous. The collaborations and things that you can achieve, even without leaving the comforts of your home, they are great all over the place. So the first thing for me, looking at it, for you to benefit really from this economy or where we are right now in the global space, is you have to, first of all, change your mindset. The entirety of what you know before can still be valid, but what you need to start going forward with has to change. You have to reorientate your mind to opening up to, of course, the platforms that are available to you, just like this one, you know, that is in my face right now. I've seen it a couple of times, but I'm still looking at it, you know. I'm looking forward to sharing more on what I know in my journey so far over the last 10 years. And I think that's my response to it when I hear the gig economy, the global economy, as it relates to career or even voiceovers, as it were. Thank you so much.
You did a very good job here. I like the way you simplify the concept of the big English. The concept of the big English. You know, in Africa, we like a lot of big English. So I like the way you simplified it in common language and on the basis of how many years you have invested in the field of being a voiceover actor. I like what you said about the flexibility. The concept of flexibility resonates a lot with the global gig, and that makes a lot of sense. Opportunity to get jobs from wherever you are, hence the reason why the platform Freelancer was created. Now, the reason why we're sampling this platform is not for you to just sign up. No, that's not the idea. The idea that we want to solve or bring to you is very simple. There has been a concern with African talents. If you go on Upwork, if you go on all of those platforms where you can get all of those international opportunities, it is a very big deal for African talents to be spotted. So Emmanuel said something about the opportunity to get jobs. If you want to find access to these opportunities across border, then there are accessible platforms that you can actually use as a talent. And then the opportunity to collaborate. The opportunity to collaborate, which is quite important. Collaboration in the industry, for me, is very, very important. And the last, which Emmanuel mentioned, has to do with the flexibility to work from wherever you are located. So your location is not a big deal when it comes to the global economic, the global good, and all of those concepts that concerns to the present state of how a talent from Africa can connect to the rest of the world. Very important. So thank you very much, Emmanuel. And we're going to go straight, because of time, straight to the only lady on the call, the only lady in the sport of speakers. And I'm talking about Vivian, joining in from Kigali. Thank you very much, Desi, for joining in. You'd like to tell us, what would you say about the concept of the global economy? Thank you, and over to you. And thank you for joining on the call once again. Thank you. Over to you. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Good evening from Kigali. Can you all hear me?
Sure, we can.
Okay, so I'm a poet and also storyteller, but I feel like the two of them belong to each other, so I cannot separate storytelling from poetry. So from a perspective of a poet, I would say that there's been a global demand for poets and storytellers because the global economy needs new voices, and they need new ways in which we tell our stories, right? So people are tired of the regular way in which things are said. Basically, it's all about language. The poet explores and stretches the way that language is used. So I think that's what the global economy is moving towards, right? Even in advertisements, in events, corporate events, even in weddings nowadays, we have poets. I think right now there's no space in which where the poet is not needed or where storytelling is not needed. So basically, the whole idea is that okay, we've been hearing these stories, right? We've been hearing these things, but is there a way that we can have these same stories, but in new voices, in new ways, in more creative ways, in a way that doesn't just only entertain? And I think that's one thing, like for poetry, like language is deeper and there's more power in a way that the poet actually expresses him or herself. So globally, because a lot of the speakers have spoken a lot about the other aspects, so I'm just going to speak about this from my own aspect, the fact that the world and the global economy is in need of storytellers. And for us as poets, we have that power. And so it's just for us to be able to position ourselves professionally and to be able to hone our crafts in a way that the world cannot ignore us, the global economy cannot ignore us. So I'm not going to take so much of our time because we don't have so much of that. So I'm just going to end there.
Thank you very much. I like the way you just said it, very simple and precise. The global economy needs more voices and great storytellers. Excellent. So you are a voiceover actor here, coming up voiceover actor here. For you to even connect to more clients, you need to be a fantastic and a strategic storyteller. Most times, the easiest way to sell yourself is for you to be able to tell your story in an identical way, and your clients can connect to you, and that way you can be sold as a product and as an asset. So thank you very much, Vivian, for that wonderful share on the power of storytelling and your voice, very important. So we're going to move straight to the second phase of the question. We are already coming to the end of this conversation. And do not forget that this is brought to you by the Freelancer. This is a tech platform connected on the UK. And just a very simple thing about the platform. It seeks to give more opportunities to African talents. There are people we have on the platform of Freelancer. On monthly basis, they earn as high as $2,000. So you need to position yourself well and be spotlighted as an African talent to sell your voice to the global community. So this is what this conversation is all about. And please, if you have any questions to ask, if you have any concerns, feel free to type it in the comment box. We'll be so happy to relate to those questions. And also, once you join the call, please mute your mic, right? It's important that you do that so that we don't keep obstructing the conversation. Thank you very much. So the next phase of the question we're going to be asking and answering today is, how can an African talent, a voiceover actor, a poet, reinvent himself or herself? So the journey of reinvention is one that is quite important. So how have you been able to do that? I have my own story, I have got my own experience, but then I would like to know from the speakers we have on this call, who are great speakers. I honor their value a lot. So I'm going to be asking this question to all the speakers in no particular order. I'm going to ask you, King E, can you tell us, on the basis of your experience, how can an African talent, and yourself, you've been in this industry for 10 good years, how have you been able to reinvent yourself? How have you been able to position yourself for the global economy? It's very important that, you know, we bullet point the realities of those experiences, and that would just be so amazing. Right. Over to you, King Emmanuel. Right.
All right.
So
Thank you. Okay, repositioning or reinventing, you know, all the English, re-engineering, repositioning. You could see it as moving from one place to the other, one point to the other, or, you know, establishing yourself from a place to the other, locally or globally, you know. For me personally, I would just talk about my story briefly to help us. I know that there's no time, so I'll try as much as I can to just summarize the whole thing. Now, first of all, even though Samuel Izu did not introduce us, so let me break who I am down. Don't worry. I'm not.
I'm going to introduce this. I'm going to introduce it.
All right, no, it's fine. Let me just, because of what I want to say, I think for context, it's good for people to know what I have been up to in the voiceover space, to understand reinvention, especially those people who are just starting out. All right. My name is King E. Of course, I am the founder of the voiceover workshop and media based in Lagos, Nigeria. And even right now, we're in talks to establish voiceover workshop even outside the shores of Nigeria, Africa, and even outside Africa, and all that is ongoing. And then organizer of the voiceover conference, that is one of Africa's pioneer voiceover conferences, and Nigeria's first ever Nigerian voice acting contest. That was a contest for voiceover talents that happened last year. Now, I have also over the years trained hundreds of students and have done jobs both for brands both home and abroad. But then how did I get to do all of this thing? How did I get here after over 10 years in the industry? How did it all happen? Now, the first thing is I started, right? But I started in Nigeria and I didn't have any clients or any jobs to my name, right? But right now, there's all of these things that I've said going on with King E as an individual, starting a business, doing this and that, and all of those things, right? Now, the first thing for me, I think that after you have started, one of the first things that you must do is to be consistent, okay? If you're not consistent, there is no way you can get to wherever you are, whether you are even locally, you will not succeed, let alone to reinvent yourself or re-engineer yourself for a global space, okay? So the first thing is to be consistent. Now, we're not saying that failures will not come. I remember the first training for voiceovers that I said the first one, it was free, then did the second one, and before the time of the training, nobody showed up. I had to cancel the whole training and I didn't do it again. So imagine fixing a training, putting out flyers and all of that. And at the end of the day, nobody turns up, nobody registers. It could be demoralizing, but you have to keep going. Okay. And I think that the next thing for me, why I'm able to do everything I'm doing right now in the voiceover space, is because I see voiceover beyond recording, or more than recording behind the microphone. A lot of people, for whatever they do as business, they see it as, oh, let me just do the work, and that's all. So a lot of voice talents, I know for a fact, some people who have started before me, who are big in the industry here in Nigeria, some people are just starting out. All they think about for voiceovers is, I want to record, I want to get that particular script, I want an agency to call me so that I will record that particular voice and put on radio. That's the end. But you have to see beyond that. If you don't see beyond that, you can't even start local, let alone think global. Okay, so for me, voiceover is more than that. And because of that, I started thinking more about how can we grow this industry? How can we, put this information in people more? Because at some point, I realized that a lot of people don't know about voiceovers. And if we want to make more money, if we want to be more relevant in what we do, people have to know. Now, how would people know about what you do? You have to tell them. How do you tell them? You have to create events, you have to create scenarios, you have to create situations that will make people know and be more interested. So if you go into every home and there is one voiceover actor, at least in Nigeria or in Africa, in one home, you realize that voiceover is something that is important in the entire space because more people know. So we put webinars out, conferences, events, we start thinking of ideas and start pushing the narrative. That's the only way we can change it. So if you want to reinvent yourself, if you want to change how you are or where you are, the position you are right now in voiceover, you have to dare to make certain moves. You have to be able to dare to see more than just recording and waiting for clients to call you and doing more. But then if you don't have the energy, if you're not someone like me that is willing to take risks, because you also have to be willing to take risks. So if you're not willing to take all of those kind of risks, one of the things you want to try to do is, in your field, you have to be better than anybody. Now, the other thing is you have to use the tools that are available to you. What are those tools? Right now, for you to be global, if you're not online, it will be hard for you to be global. I've done jobs, I've worked on some projects that it was because I was on LinkedIn. It was because I put something out on Instagram. That's a global space, okay? So there is no way you will say you want to be global or you want to reinvent yourself without thinking, because how we grew up also is that we didn't have internet. We didn't have social media and all of that, all right, to our advantage. But right now there's all of that. So one fantastic way that you can do it is to look inward and say, okay, this social media, I have a phone on my, with me every day. What am I doing in it? What am I doing with it? I keep telling my students, if the first 3 people within your circle of influence don't know that you do voiceovers, or when someone talks about voiceover or whatever you do, and you're not the first 3 that comes to their minds, then you are not doing anything. You have not started. So Absolutely. You have to be top of mind. And one way to be top of mind is to put yourself out there. These platforms that you have, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, online, all the free, platforms that are pay-to-play sites and all of that. If you are not there, you're not making good use of it, then you're not ready for the global space. All right, we don't have enough time. I usually would like a lot more time to talk about voiceovers, but I think we'll just stop here for now, Thank you.
Absolutely. I got that a lot. And I really loved what you said about, you used a lot of terms. And in fact, we got no time to start talking about a lot of things you have even said already. But the few things I'd like to say in addition to what you have said is that you have to use what you have available to project yourself. And you have to be available to be able to grow yourself, develop yourself, and be better at what you do. If 3 amongst of your friends do not know what you're doing, then you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. So those were powerful words, and I truly appreciate you, Emmanuel. So we're going to move very quickly to Samuel. Samuel, are you on the call? Let's hear from you in regards to that question, please. Samuel, over to you quickly, please.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and about that, yeah, talking about how one can re-engineer and then reinvent themselves for the global space. I would call it rebrand. I could use the word rebrand to talk about it as it relates to what I do. You see, I think the thing we need to understand or learn to do is to create your own space in every system. You know, I'm a writer's coach and I'm a content creator. So what used to happen those days, we didn't have a lot of writers. We didn't understand the importance of what we call copywriters today, content writers, okay, the issue of content marketing. It was not a thing many years ago. But when these guys who started writing began to show their relevance on the global space, okay, companies began to see a need for content writers, for copywriters, and so they began to understand that these guys are vital. These guys are very important for the advancement, okay, for our development as an organization. You understand? So we need to understand the concept of creating your own space in every system that you belong to. If you want to be relevant, then you need to make sure that you create an opportunity for yourself. It was like, for instance, for writers, let's see, I'm also a writer's coach, so I can talk a lot from that angle. You know, we did not understand how important we were until the social media space began to give us relevance. Okay, we have Facebook, you know, it's more of write-ups than videos and pictures. When I started off on Facebook, then I used to struggle with a lot of followers. I didn't have a lot of people because I didn't even have a concept. But when I understood that, okay, I need to create a need in this system so that I can be relevant. So I changed my orientation about all this. I rebranded myself, and then I became more of a digital creator as it relates to sales. Okay, so I focus on copywriting, that's writing sales copies for people, teaching people how to explore, how to expand, how to create wealth for their organizations on the internet space. And so people began to understand what I was about. And so, when you make yourself a source, people will give their resource to come find you. So I did that. And so I began to attract the right kind of people. So if you can rebrand, if you can create your own space, create your own space in every system, show that irrespective of the job that you do, of the skills you have, you can be relevant in every space. I can be relevant in engineering. I can be relevant also in marketing. I can be relevant in the health sector. You understand? So show that you can be relevant in every space. You need to rebrand. If your niche, let me use the word niche. If your niche seems not to be in a particular field, you can find something, you can create something there, create a need for your services, create a need for the skills that you have. And I tell you, people will begin to see why you are important, and then they will begin to draw attention to yourself, and that could open up a whole world of opportunities for you. So I think that works to create your own space in every system.
Powerful. I like that a lot. Rebrand yourself, create your own space, and make yourself a source so that people can galvanize their resources towards you being a source. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Samuel, for breaking down the realities of how you can sell yourself or reposition yourself for the global economy. Very important. I really appreciate those great values a lot. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, just before we move on to Vivian and Danley, I'd like to say this to you people. We still have freelancer as a community. We have probably something we're going to be doing for, and with voiceover actors across Africa. So this is a very strategic meeting. Today's town hall is a very strategic one. And if you have clients at different levels, maybe you have a client on Fiverr, you have a client on Upwork, you have a client on any of those platforms, and you are searching for a platform where you can actually earn more money as a voiceover actor, as a poet, as a storyteller, then we are going to be explaining a lot to you as we, we're going to be communicating with some of you who would be selected for those great activities that we're looking forward to putting out. So we'd like you to just stay tuned to this meeting, because in no distant time, this meeting will be brought to an end. But then we have said a lot of intelligent things in today's meeting. And I wouldn't want you to just show up in this meeting as, oh, I just participated in a program, and then what you do with the information you get from this program is important, very important. Highly should be rated. Please, if you join the call, can you mute your mic? So, having stated that, I would like to invite our dear sis, the only sis we have on this call today in the list of speakers, Vivian from Kigali. Please tell us what you think about how to position yourself, how to brand yourself, how to, put out yourself properly for the global economy to accept what you have and who you are. Over to you, Vivian.
I'll start by saying that for me, I started writing poetry in 2017 officially. Awesome. That's when I started doing, like, going out to do my work for people to begin to know that I actually write poetry. Before then, I was actually scared to actually say that I was a poet. However, how did I get to where I am right now in that space of time? Because before I started writing poetry, there have been people in the, let me say, in that way before me, that people who are in that, people have been in that space 10 years, 15 years, but within the space of in 2017 and now, that's roughly 5 years.
Sorry, Vivian. Sorry, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. It seems you're muted.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Right, clearly.
Okay. All right. So I started writing poetry in 2017, and between that space up till now, the growth for me has been very massive, and I have performed in like some of the biggest stages in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. I've performed in Brazil, in South Africa, in Kigali. Like, the reason why that happened so fast for me, because I was very intentional about my journey. I knew what I wanted. I knew I didn't just want to be a poet or another poet in the statistics. Because when I got into writing poetry, people, in fact, poetry, I think for voiceover, I think people have it a little bit more better for than poets, because for poets, they see it as a leisure, they see it as a hobby. They don't take it seriously, but you have to take yourself seriously. So there are just 3 points I'm going to make, and I'm going to keep them short. For number one, visualize. Like, what you haven't seen, you cannot get. If you've not seen it, there's no way you will ever get it. So if you keep doubting yourself, or you keep doubting your craft, or you keep doubting your artistry, there is even you're going to keep working hard. 10 years, 20 years will come, and you will never get there. So when you visualize what you want, then you can start working towards it. Your body and the rest of your body and the rest of you will follow you to that. So once you visualize the stages, the platforms you want to find yourself in, then you can start working towards it. Number two, I'm going to talk about relevance. I think 2 other speakers have talked about relevance, but it's one of the points that I noted out. Many, for me, what I've seen in the industries, although we don't yet have an industry per se, but for me, I started creating my own space, just like the first speaker said. I started creating platforms. When I started writing poetry in 2017, I found out that in my city, which was a small city, Calabar, like there weren't events on poetry. People didn't know about poetry. People didn't regard us. People didn't invite us to events. So I started creating my own events. I started Turn Up the Mic. The first year I did it, 2018, there were just about 28 people. But now, like, Turn Up the Mic is the event, the poetic event that every individual within that region wants to attend. And last year we were able to get like 2 international partnerships, for Turn Up the Mic. This was an event that started out without, and I didn't even have money. I just come back from my youth service. I just started youth service, and I decided that, okay, I'm going to push this. This is what I want to do. So I'm going to give it my all. So creating your own space is very important. Many artists always think about themselves, and that's like the major challenge. It's not about you, that's just the thing. So you have to be relevant. People have to know that you're not just trying to blow, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting to blow, but people have to know that, okay, what you're doing actually benefits them. Like, how does your craft, how does it contribute to the global goals? For me, that's one way that I have positioned myself. That's one way I have chosen to position myself. So most of my poems, most of my activities are revolved around education. So I know that that's my niche. I've been able to decide that this is what I want. I don't do everything. I don't take every gig. I'm not desperate for platforms. I don't devalue myself by taking any gig that just come, because that's one of the major mistakes that a lot of poets, especially the ones I've seen in my city, because they're just hungry for fame and they're hungry to be known. They take everything that comes their way. So people cannot really point to the fact that this is what you bring to the table. This is your voice. This is what you contribute. It's good to be versatile, but when you focus your energy into maybe one or two major areas and people know you for that, whenever people need you for those kinds of events, it is you that they will look for. It's not the poet that does everything. So for me, the kinds of events that I go for, imagine Youth Connect Africa. Like, I knew I wanted to perform for presidents. I wanted to perform at corporate events. I'm not the party poet. I'm not the poet that excites the audience. I don't know how to excite the audience. And it's a good thing that I understood that, because initially when I started, when I performed, I found out that people weren't excited, the way that the other poets would get them excited. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to really find out what it is, my selling point is, and focus on that. And the third thing I will say, and then I will end because of time, I will say build capacity for a global audience. Because the question I want to ask, are you really ready for the global audience? Like, when they call you to that global stage, will you mess up? Will you be able to deliver? Or will you mess up? Like, when people work with you, when they hear you once, do they want to hear you again? When they work with you the first time, do they want to work with you again? Like, is there a level of professionalism to which you handle your work, right? Is there power in your craft? So build capacity, spend time building your portfolio. And that, I was very intentional. When I started out, I put out my poems to international magazines. Like, I put up for a lot of competitions. Like, I spent my last dime. Be willing to spend. I spent to go for training. I live in Calabar, but like, when there's a training in Lagos, I will save towards it. I'll go to Lagos. So I paid for it, but I've noticed that a lot of young people right now are not willing to pay to grow. They feel like they know it all already. So for me, whenever there is an opportunity for me to learn, because I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly updating my skill. It's just like an application. Apple, like, these guys are always updating their products every year or sometimes. So for me, I'm constantly updating my skills to know what are the newest trends in my industry. What do I need to grow? What is my strength, and what do I need to get better at? So for me, I am constantly building my portfolio, and I'm documenting my process every step of the way. I don't take any platform, as small or big. So whatever platform that's given to me, I take it as if it's the only one that will ever come. So usually that's what happens. As I do that, I document. As I do that, I'm consistently building my portfolio. And so before an event comes up, or there are certain events that I get called for, that somebody else who they may even perceive themselves as better, but they'll never be called for such events because they've not positioned themselves to be called for such events. So in rounding up, I would say, number one, visualize, be relevant, and number three, I would say build capacity for a global audience.
Like that. I like that. The final line of your thoughts says it a lot. Says build capacity for the global audience. When you are spotlighted, you don't end up disgracing yourself. Very important. Very, very important. So thank you very much, Vivian, for relating your story and your experience to us, for being vulnerable. When you start building programs, start preparing for events, start inviting people and the rest of it, it comes with a lot of challenges. So you have to be patient, you have to trust the process, and you have to also keep going and keep updating yourself. Because when you are updated, nobody wants to have anything to do with you. Business, relationship, career, and the rest of it. Consistently updating yourself is important. So thank you, Vivian, for those powerful, powerful thoughts. I really appreciate it. So quickly, guys, we're going to hear what Darley would have to say. Hi, Darley. Hi, my bro. What's up? Where are you? So I'd like to hear what you have to say very quickly, and then we'll be coming to the end of today's conversation. But we'd like to appreciate everyone who's been on this call. This is the Frudencer Town Hall. Once every month, we talk about different topics. This month, we consider the importance of having to invite voiceover actors, and let's talk about how these guys can re-engineer, how they can reposition themselves. And so today, I believe we have done justice to today's topic. So, Darley, let's hear your thoughts. Go for it.
Okay.
I'm trying to practice the voiceover actor thing.
And you're not doing bad at all.
Awesome.
First start. Okay, so thank you once again. All right, so my sister Vivian Ofrey has said so much. I like to take a cue from one thing she said earlier on. She said, the global economy, the world needs more storytellers. And so, if I can paraphrase that, I'll say this: the global economy needs more voiceover talent. In our own perspective, the global economy needs more voiceover talent, quality ones at that. Now, yeah, building up from some of the things I said earlier on, which my sister also said, a lot of people are downplaying the need to get proper training. Um, they want to do it for cheap or for nothing. A lot of people come into my DMs and they're asking me questions that they can actually find the answers for on Google. And then I ask them, "Have you been trained?" And I watch them just disappear, like go mute. And I just look at them. I'm like, "You're not ready. You're not ready." Because at the end of the day, you're either is either you don't know how to find a job, and I don't know who put so many people up to this, recording voiceovers with phone. It's a great place to start. But you see this global economy thing we're talking about, you cannot cut any serious deal, merely just recording stuff on the phone. Nobody's going to take you seriously that way. It's great to start like that. If that's the only thing that you can do, we understand, like, understandable. It's understandable. You can start there, but too many people get too comfortable there. I tell you what, in my recently concluded training, somebody upgraded her equipment. She could actually go out of her way and find ways to make this upgrade. But before the training, she felt she was just good where she was. You know, they don't, too many people are not thinking about the fact that, especially within the Nigerian space, a lot of us are not thinking about, out there. We think all the job is just within here, and that's no, there's a lot. In fact, we're needed out there more than we're needed here. We can't all just be fish, hunting, you know. We're needed out there more. We have to take this good stuff, take it out there for the world to see. We have to shine through for the rest of the world. And so I'll say there's a need to get good, be good at your craft, train and retrain. Our industry is always evolving. Right now, the in thing is conversational read, but it wasn't always so before now. Tomorrow, we don't know what it's going to be. What if it moves away from conversational read and you're still here, still trying to even figure out, okay, that we just left conversational read. So you have to get quality training. You have to get quality training. You have to constantly keep abreast of the industry because the trends keep. I say this: our industry is one that you could literally, if you decide to take a break for 5 years and you come back in, you're gonna have some catching up to do. There'll be some catching up to do. So evolve or dissolve. That's what's applicable here. You have to network. Networking is crucial. You have to be genuinely interested to, you know, I'll give you, I'll share my story with you. On Facebook, somebody posted something, and I was like, I was genuinely interested. I'm like, what is that? What is that about? And he told me, oh, it's a social media platform we just launched and stuff like that. And I said, okay, can you share the link? He shared the link. I went on to Play Store. I downloaded the app. I signed up. I opened an account, and I just made my first post introducing myself as a voiceover talent. In under 24 hours, somebody came there and said, where can we hear you? And I sent the link. They went on and listened. Guess what? I landed the job. And my first take, they were so pleased on that delivery that they gave me extra $50.
Wow.
So if you're one, you have to be genuinely interested in people. You know, to be interesting, you have to be interested. You have to be interested to be interesting yourself, like they say. Now, you have to have a place where can people find you. It's not every time somebody comes to your WhatsApp or and you're trying to send them one audio file or share it in form of I don't know, AUD format like WhatsApp, and those days are long gone. Those days are over now. We must stop thinking that websites are only for, you know, the big players or the or organizations. As voiceover talents, or for any freelancer for that matter, there's a need to have a virtual real estate, because it's all about, you have to be building a structure. You have to have a structure where people can come see you and say, okay, this person is up to something. They know what they're doing. They know their audience. Now, being visible is great, but you cannot possibly play 10 over 10 on every platform. You have to figure out the platforms that work best for you.
Awesome.
And it's also, this is also applicable to even we voiceover talents. We do a lot. We talk about pay to play sites. We talk about all of those stuff. We talk about Fiverr, and there's a plethora of websites out there, but you cannot possibly be everywhere and play 10 over 10. You have to figure out the ones that work for you, right? You have to know the ones that work for you. The next line of thought that I would like to share is, okay, I kind of lost my thoughts for a moment. I'm trying to recollect.
Okay. Can Yeah. But then I think I so much appreciate what you just said concerning, you know, the interest. You know, you cannot grow in what you don't have interest in and for. So I
That's
kind
right.
of like what you said about interest. A lot of young people, probably on this call, like Vivian also said, they want to get out there. But what is propelling you? What is pushing you? If money is what is pushing you, you get the money and you're going to get tired.
Mm,
So the
that's right.
interest, the value, and the personality, developing and updating yourself is crucial, it's critical. You can't even do without in across
That's
all
right.
industries, across the world. So, I mean, I'm going to call you back again, probably here, or, we still have a lot to do with all the speakers. So then I'm going to be able to talk about the speakers, who they are, and send their values properly to the people and the platforms across. So I really appreciate the values communicated on this platform already. In fact, personally, I have been able to grab as many as possible. I was able to write down a lot, and I'm still going to be able to re-listen to the replay and be able to get a lot of value for myself and my business. And I believe other people who joined the call got value from today's conversation also. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take one or two questions and then we are out of this call. I really apologize for time. It's usually an hour conversation, but please, in the culture of freelancer, we always take questions. It's always about a conversation, not just about one or two people speaking and speaking. We want to also know what listeners have got to say, and then we can, take their questions and respond to their concerns. So I see the manager. This is a great man, Mr. Sixtus Oyekwe. Please, Are you very close to your mic? I see you got a call. You wanted to ask a question, please. The mic is yours.
Yes, please. Okay,
Awesome.
thank you very much, Izu, for putting this together. I will say you've been doing an amazing work for Freelancer, and I really do appreciate you for this. I also thank the speakers for today, Uche, Vivian, Samuel. I must say I've learned a lot from what you guys have taught today, because it was a learning process for me. I've really learned a lot. Thank you, guys. And really, I didn't know this industry was this huge, voiceover and all of this. So I think I've been exposed to a lot of things. So there is an important question I want to put up to you, to the three of you, please. I mean, this is a genuine question that has been popping up in my head about these voiceovers and our media houses and everything. So it's really about the reason why they sound, or why they decide to sound in a foreign accent. So I don't know if that kind of is the standard, or I don't know what happens, right? But what I see happening is, we Africans, when it comes to all these voiceovers, speaking, media, and all of that, we always tend to align with the foreign accent. So I really want to know, is this something they tell you guys in the industry to do, or I don't know, is it the only way to excel in the industry? So please, this question is for you three, please.
All right. Let's rush that question very quickly, guys.
I think Izu, you have to join. You have to participate in this answer. You need to. I think so.
Okay. Okay, can I answer that question?
All right, over to you, Danley.
All right, thank you. That's Mr. Sixtus, right? That's the name, right?
Yeah,
Sixtus.
that's Mr. Sixtus, yeah.
All right. So to answer your question, the answer to that question is no, you do not have to sound American. In my case, this is how I've been. I started learning about voiceover since way back.
English-speaking people, English-speaking people.
So I've always been this way. The industry has nothing to do with this. But you know, one thing, if you have to do the voiceover and you're doing your reads, at least your pronunciations have to be accurate, but you don't have to have an accent. No, you don't have to have an accent. And this is what I tell my students as well. I tell them, because some of them try to mirror me. Like there was this one in particular. She was always particular about trying to mirror me. I said, hey, wait, one of your biggest problems, you have to embrace. I told her she's multilingual, and that is a plus. That's what I said. Embrace yourself, your uniqueness. You don't have to have an accent. No. There's a lot of content localization and all that stuff, in the industry that is needed. You don't necessarily need American accent to do our local content. You don't. So I hope I've answered your question. I understand that we don't have
that was an answer from Danley. Danley says you don't have to.
Danley with the accent. Go on, please.
Yeah, King is here. He can also, he can also contribute to that.
So guys, that is a very, very powerful question anyway. But however, I'm just going to allow the voiceover guys to answer that question, and then we have the sales coach also to talk about it, and we disappear. So thank you, Danley, for saying that. I believe that in the industry, you can be African and still be valued across the border. We have our peculiar, we have our peculiar accent. Accent is not being intelligent. Accent is not even being professional. The real thing is you have to be able to pronounce the words accurately and in a very clear tone. But then the accent is also beautiful because it shows and tells about exposition and exposure. But that's the fight. So let's go to King E. Hello, King E. You've been laughing behind the door, and then we come to Sam.
Yes, of course. Sorry, I had to quickly take a call before I came back.
No
But in
problem.
the matter of accent and the voiceover industry, I mean, I didn't hear the full question, but I guess that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, so he's asking, why is it that most of the African voiceover actors, they are always
Mhm.
trying to sound like the Western?
Yeah, I
West,
think to a very large extent, I think that it's a wrong concept. But then you have to first of all look at it this way. Our way of communication is English, okay? So most of the time that might be the reason, because if you are intentional about how you speak or how you pronounce your words, there's a high chance that sometimes you may sound as though you are forming an accent if you really want to go all out, okay? If I want to start speaking how I should speak the English language, there's a chance that you might start hearing some of accents that's not needed and stuff like that. But the general thing you need to understand is that if you're not required to form an accent, you're not supposed to a very large extent. Okay. I think one of the best things that can happen to you as an African voiceover actor is to be able to form an accent when there's a need for it. Okay, I know some people that they only speak like they're Nigerians, but they probably grew up in America or in the UK, and that's the only way they talk. But right now they are in Nigeria. So fortunately or unfortunately for them, that's the only way they know how to speak. So we can't help their ministry. Okay, but some people can be Nigerians and still form another accent and it works. But the thing is, for me, I don't bother myself. Okay, I'm Nigerian. All right, I've done a couple of jobs, and the reason I got those jobs was because I'm African, not because I can form an accent. My belief about accent is that you cannot be an American, or you cannot sound American more than an American. So I do not bother myself that much. Okay, I get enough jobs as an African. And one thing I also know, my belief too, all right, is that you do not buy what you have, you buy what you don't have. The white man will buy from me what they don't have, and what they don't have is how I sound. Well, they won't come and buy from an African what they have in abundance in their country, because they have them, a whole lot of them. But what they are looking for is what they don't have. African, oh, these guys sound, oh my God, what? I did an animation job for a company in Australia, and the lady said she was literally carrying my voice and her laptop all over the office, and people were like, oh, wow, hey, his voice is so strong, hey, this and that, because they don't have it, they don't know it. So when they hear it, it's unique and dynamic to them. But if I sounded like those guys, they would probably hear that this guy is not a native speaker. No, this is not the person. You might think in Nigeria that, this guy sounds so American. But an American person listening to it say, this guy, no, this is counterfeit American. It's not what we want. All right. Okay, so if you the thing is just embrace your voice, embrace how you sound. Here in Nigeria, we speak different languages. Okay, some people sound Yoruba, some people sound Hausa, some people in their English there is a mixture of a bit of Hausa, India, and when you hear it, it is very, very interesting and stuff like that. All right, but if that's what you can do, you understand what I'm saying? And some people, they are Igbos, and when they speak, you hear it in their voice. What I mean, you get it, and this is how I talk. So that is what they have. So the thing is embracing your voice, enjoying the process, and just being the best version of you, and keep reinventing yourself. All right? All right. Thank you.
Can we give it up for?
Let me add one more thing. If you don't mind, Izu.
Okay, just very quickly, bro.
Yeah. Another thing about, accent or no accent, a lot of times it also has to do with the clients that you're working with. Do you know that sometimes clients specifically reach out to me and they're like, can you sound British? Can you sound American? In my case, I've got the American accent. That's what comes naturally to me. If I have to do an accent, I'm most times I'm struggling to do Nigerian accent. My wife, I believe my wife is on this call. She'll confirm it. She's like my director when I have to do a Nigerian accent. So it has a lot to do with the client that you're also working with and what he's demanding from you.
Awesome, absolutely. I like that a lot. Just let's be original versions of ourselves. You can't,
That's right.
whatever you can do, do it well. So if you're very good in terms of American accent, shoot, build yourself more and position yourself more also. Good with the British, you're very awesome. But I just would prefer that you can just be yourself, be the African man, and you'll be valued as well. So I'd like to hear what Samuel would have to say very quickly, guys. I didn't know that we're going to be up till this point, but then we have to exhaust these ideas and then we disappear. So sorry, guys, but thank you for your patience also. All right, Samuel, over to you. If you can keep within 1 to 2 minutes, I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
I won't speak long because the voiceover guys have done a lot of justice to it. But for me, I'm not so much on the voice stuff. But I think, like Uche has said, it's more about for us. The sales and business is more about your audience. Okay, who are the people that you are doing that voice over for? Okay, are you doing it for locals? Are you doing it for people who want a particular accent? So it depends on your audience. And if I am writing a sales copy, for instance, if I'm having to do that, create content, then I have to understand what my client wants, who that content is for, so that I would know how exactly to say it or to put it up. Okay, so voiceover guys, you guys are wonderful. So I give it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate you a lot, and I appreciate you so much. All right, so Vivi, over to you. Are you speaking? You speak US in Kigali, or you speak the African?
I speak the way I've always, like
Also,
I mean, I think you've known me since debate.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how I've always spoken. So
Sure.
There's no need to change it. There's no need to change
Sure.
it. Yeah.
Sure. So that's beautiful.
So I think the rest of the guys have spoken well about it. So just be authentic, just be yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Just be yourself, be an original version of yourself, pronounce your words correctly, and you will be appreciated. Remember, people would only go for what they need. People cannot go for what they already have in abundance. So just be yourself, like Samuel said, build a niche for yourself. Just present your market in a very good way, and you will surely sell and be sold also. So guys, we want to appreciate every one of you who showed up today. This conversation has not completely come to an end. Remember, we have a lot to be doing with some of you who joined this call. So you're going to be hearing from us, you're going to be hearing from the team, and we so much appreciate all the speakers. We don't take your presence for granted. On behalf of the team of the Freelancer, the CEO, unfortunately, is not on this call, but he's going to be getting the conversation, and he's so excited already. Currently, he's attending to a meeting in a church program in London. So he just sent a message apologizing, and all of you will surely hear from him in no distant time. But the most important thing I wanted to say is this. Please, guys, we have shared a lot of value on this call. We don't want to just organize a program where people will talk and they disappear. We want a community of Africans who are consistently building and adding value wherever they are located. This and that is what Freelancer is all about, solving problems. So please, guys, if you are going to be a voiceover actor, you have to just be the very best version of yourself. You have to evolve, you have to discover yourself, you have to rebrand yourself, you have to create your own space, and you have to keep updating yourself all the time. That being said, that is the Instagram platform. However, the 30 to 40 people who joined the call, we're going to be connecting to you all. We have a lot to do with the voiceover actor, guys. Like Sixto said, he never knew the industry was that big. I already known about this industry for some years, but then bringing these guys together today has created a different picture. And having Vivian, having Samuel to join these great voices like the Danley, the King E, it's been so amazing. And I'm so glad that we're able to pull this through today. So if you want to know more about the speakers, do not hesitate to join the community where all the speakers will bring you into, connected to Freelancer, because we have a lot to do with these guys, and all the people who joined the call today. So feel free to follow the platform, feel free to send in your questions, feel free to connect, and we will be so glad to help you spotlight your talents, project you to the rest of the world, and you can make some money, add some values, and that will be so amazing. In the next 5 minutes, we are going to be disappearing, but I would like to hear final words from all of our speakers. I like these guys are born. Gosh, these guys are so intelligent. And today's meeting, Stanley, you're not smiling. Is it because your wife is on this call? But this call has just been so explosive. Like, oh my goodness. All right. Please, your wife, can we hear your wife's voice? Like, please to say hello.
She's not right in this house. I know I saw her somewhere. I don't.
All right. All right.
Mrs. Donnelly, wife of me, if you're still there, please.
All right. So we also have the freelance set of the team members joined in. We have the Zainab, we have Mr. Sixtus, we have Mrs. Sixtus also, and many other people. So we say thank you to you guys. We'd like to hear your voices before we disappear. Please, it's very important. So over to you, Vivian. Let's hear your voice, your parting words, and then we move on to Samuel, from Samuel to Donnelly, and then on to King.
Okay, I'll start by saying thank you, Izu, for having me. Thank you for to the organizers of this what's it called, town hall. So my last words would be, what kind of artist do you want to be? Like, you have to answer that question. Like, what's your why? I think that was one of the things that resounded in almost every tip or every each of the questions that came up. Behind all of those tips, the question why is always there. So ask yourself what kind of voiceover artist you want to be, and then work towards becoming that artist that you have imagined. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Imagine it and become it.
Yeah.
Powerful, powerful. Over to you, Samuel. And now from Samuel, we move to Dandy and King E. Samuel. And so, Samuel, I have a lot to say about you, and I'm so proud of you, bro. Shoot.
Thank you, Izzy. Thank you so much for bringing me on this platform, and I'm really happy to connect with as many facilitators as we have here. Danley, thank you so much. I think I'll go on all of your social media platforms and give you guys a follow. I want to learn a lot about voiceovers, about poetry, and I think every one of us on this platform, every you on the part of the audience, please make sure you do that also, right? And one parting word I would say is, always create relevance in whatsoever that you do. Be relevant in every space. Create relevance for yourself, rebrand, like we said. I love the second question a lot, and I wish that we can build on that for subsequent webinars and sessions like this. So once more, and I want to say shout out to my community. Some of them are here, the writing genius. Thank you guys for joining here, and I'm really excited. Yeah. Come on, let's do this. Let us make sure we feast on this guy. These guys have got value, okay? Feast on them, all right? Thank you so much.
Feast on them, feast on them. On. All right, over to you, Dolly. Hi, Dolly.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been wonderful. It's been a wonderful ride. I have to say big shout out to Vivian Ofre, to Samuel Nisi, and we have the same soul name, Uche.
Yeah,
and of course the King. Yeah. And another big shouts out to my people. They're here as well. I see my tradies. Although I've been seeing their comments. Thank you guys for coming. Much love to you. So to wrap it up, you cannot, playing small is hurting everybody. You have to reinvent. You have to think global.
Yeah.
I tell my people, you start at a certain rate, but you have to, in the next 2-3 months, you have to, stop thinking about just yourself. Don't be a hustler. Be a creative that wants to give value. Don't be a hustler. Be out there to give value. One of the things I've started doing, I coach people. I get paid to coach people, But I started reaching out to some people. Some have been trained, some have never gotten any training. I started reaching out to those that I have their numbers. I called them. I just called them out of nowhere. I just called them. I'm like, they're not expecting my calls. I just call. I'm like, okay, so what's your challenge today? What's your biggest challenge right now? And I try to see how I can point them in the right direction. Why am I doing this? I want to see everybody grow. Let's grow. The field is large enough, but you can't take on this playing small. The field is large enough.
Right.
So always think, how can you be better? How can you take on the world? You can't go into the world. You can't go into this global gig economy that we've been hammering on. You can't go in there half baked. Even I am still training. I'm still training. So train, retrain, think excellence. Go all out for value. Go all out. I tell my students, go all out. So this is it.
Grow,
The world is
grow,
waiting for us, but are you ready?
grow all out. Grow all out. Grow all out. Grow all out. Mind blowing. I like that a lot. Makes sense. All right, over to you to King E. Has King E disappeared? All right, guys. Thank you very much to all of you. At this point, we're going to be coming to the end of this meeting today, and look forward to the rest of the information that will come to you. It has been the Freelancer Community Town Hall on monthly basis. We say thank you to all of you and a big shout out to all the speakers. See you when next we can. Izu Samuel, signing.
Hi, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful
All right,
night.
guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. So, yeah, we'll see connect. Sure. Yeah, we will.